Check, test. Can you hear me? Is it my voice clear enough? Okay, we will start soon. Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan, and good morning everyone. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin, wassalatu wassalamu ala asrofil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi rasulillahi ajmain, amma ba'du. The Honorable Dr. Ani Susanti MPDBI as the Head of English Education Department, the Honorable Professor Hoa Nguyen, today's guest lecturer from University of New South Wales, Sydney, Australia, the Honorable Muhammad Iqwan Sanjani MS TESOL as the moderator of today's webinar, the Honorable all of the lecturer of English Education Department, and the respectable all of the participants and committees. First of all, let's say thanks to our God Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, the Lord of the universe, who has been giving us His blessings and mercy so that we can gather in this webinar. Second of all, may peace be upon our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who has guided us into the right ways of life. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Aisyah Ril Surya. As Master of Ceremony, I would like to say welcome to the International Webinar Series of English Education Department with the theme Action Research in Language Teacher Professional Development. So before we starting our agenda, let me explain the agenda schedule of this webinar. First, opening. Second, main agenda. Third, Q&A session, and the last is closing. The first agenda is opening. Let's open our event today by reciting Basmalah together. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay, the next agenda is the main agenda, which we are waiting for explanation from our guest lecturer, Professor Hoa. Before that, let me introduce Mr. Iqwan as our moderator for today's webinar. Mr. Iqwan is one of the outstanding alumni of English Education Study Program for his bachelor degree. Mr. Iqwan also graduated from University of Bristol for his master degree, and now Mr. Iqwan is a PhD researcher at UNSW Sydney. He was a lecturer at English Education Study Program of UAD on 2018 and 2019. And now, please welcome Mr. Iqwan. Time is yours.
Hi everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The traditional custodian of
I'm so sorry, you are muted, sir.
I'm new here.
Test. Can you hear me?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, this is in here. It's already a bad connection, so please wait for how much?
Can you hear us now?
Moderator? Sorry, sir. Is there any bad connection from there?
Oh, I'm all right. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Because in here your voice is not clear enough.
I mute myself.
I'll try. Hello.
You mute yourself.
Hello.
Maybe one of you should disconnect the audio first.
Oh, okay.
I mean, maybe Professor Hoa can disconnect the audio from the Zoom.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
sir, it's
Okay.
clear.
Sorry for that. So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much
Waalaikumsalam.
for the invitations, and I would like to thank Ibu Ani and all of the lecturers in English Education Department who are here today with all of us for organizing this very lovely event. So before I start, let me begin by acknowledging the First Nation people who are the traditional custodian of the land on which our UNSW campuses are located. I pay my respect to elders, past, present, and emerging, and extend this respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are here with us today. So, before I start, I will then introduce our speaker, who is Associate Professor Nguyen. So she is extremely wonderful person, and has got so many experiences in the field. And the Professor Hua is teaching the action research module in our school. So she's got so many experience with action research and published extensively in the field as well. So Professor Hua finished her PhD from the University of Queensland in Australia, and there are also other qualifications as well. And then these are some of the grants that Professor Hua has received. Of course, this is just only some of the grants that she has got, and there are many other grants that I cannot mention today. And then there are some also awards, such as the visiting scholars from several universities in the UK, and then receiving other outstanding supervision awards from UNSW Postgraduate Council. So we really expect to hear a lot of things from Professor Hoa, and we can learn together from her. And then secondly, it is also important for me to tell all the participants today that we are going to have some discussions. So other than explanation and lecture, we will expect you to be active in the discussions, and as I will be sending some of links and for you to comment and for you to express your opinion and probably ask questions as well. So we will have this kind of dynamic interactions. Okay, so I think there's a little introductions from me, and now I will hand over to Professor Hoa to start the lecture. So over to you, Hoa.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Iqwan, for sort of very long introduction. I don't remember what I said actually. So it's my great pleasure to be here today to see all of you, even in the virtually, I see all the name. It's my great pleasure to share with you what we understand and something in our action research today, something you inviting me. So I hope that you enjoy the seminar today. Yeah, so can I share the slide? Yeah. Can you see it now? Yep. Yeah, it's always about technology, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so you can see that a little bit about myself, that I actually was born in Vietnam, and then I've been working in Australia for about more than 15 years. So I work in the area of language professional development, and action research is one of the areas that I'm teaching at UNSW and also do a research. And I also would like to advocate the use of action research as a professional development strategy for many other countries like Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam as well. So where I've been working in a couple of projects with them. And even in Australia, action research has been advocated in school to the language teacher as well, and to teachers in school as well. So it's my great pleasure today to share with you to have a webinar about action research as a professional development strategy for language teachers. Before I start, I also would like to acknowledge the traditional custodian of the land that UNSW Kensington campus is located. We are on the land of Pijikon people. So I would like to extend that respect, my respect to their elder past, present, and emerging. And also would like to extend that respect to any Aboriginal Foreign Trade Islander who are here as well. It has been a place of teaching and learning for many thousands of years, and we are at UNSW. We are very honored to continue that tradition as well. So thank you. All right, so I'd like to say welcome everyone to the seminar on action research. Iqwan tried to teach me to speak Indonesia, but I think that I need more lessons from you. But I just want to say welcome, and I'm glad to see all of you. So that is a language that Iqwan tried to translate for me, but I'm sure that Iqwan will teach me more proper Indonesian language later on. Yeah. So what do we know about you? So Iqwan also sent you a survey. I would like to know more about what have you been doing with action research. What have you know about action research? Iqwan, what is the result at the moment now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so actually,
you can share it if you like. Yeah.
we have this one.
Yep. And thank you for doing the survey. Wow. Yep. You can. Yep. I can see that. All right. So it seemed like some of you actually have read the book about action research, right? And then most of you heard about the action research, but you need to know more to learn more about action research. That is the overall understanding about your knowledge and experience. Yep. That would be very interesting. Oh, even some of you presented and public finding from action research, and I would like to hear from you as well. Only 60% said that yes, definitely. Okay, all right. It's interesting to know that 41% of you just saying that I would like to know more information about action research. But I tell you the truth that the more you know, the more you want to learn. Still continue doing, continue learning all the time. It's interesting. Okay. All right. Yes, probably. So, all right. So it seems like we have a different participant who also actually do an action research and who want to do action research, who learn more about action research. So it is important information for your department as well to see that your lecturer motivation to do it, and then will implement some kind of professional development program using action research. So thank you, Iqwan, for that. Yep, that's great to know. Yep. All right. Right, thank you for letting me know about you all. But I just want to share with you that the finding is similar to many other contexts that I've been working with. People still wondering, people still to know more. Some of them know, but we need to know more. So that is similar to the context that I did a workshop a couple months ago in Vietnam as well. Even they also implement the action research program with the school, but they still want to know. So it's just interesting to see the similarity as well. Yep. For the outline of the seminar today, I would like to focus on the following main points. The first one is that just want to know your view about why we need to do action research, and then we will be able to just define action research or getting started with action research as well, and some principle of action research as well. Yeah. All right. So what does the 21st century teacher need to know? I would like to hear from you. All right. Could you please type your answer in the chat box, please? In your opinion, what does the 21st century teacher need to know? Feel free to type the answer on the chat box. Yep. I just want to see some of the answer. So what does the 21st century teacher need to know? Yep. Can you see the answer there? Yep. Okay, very good. I can see some of you already typed the answer here. Yep. Technology, yes, we just in the post-COVID period, so everybody want to talk about technology, agree. So they need to know about technology. Make the student think critically, very good. How do the teacher generation, wow, Jet generation, yes, all right, people talk a lot about that as well. Any other one would like to share your opinion? What do you think? What does the 21st century teacher need to know? What kind of skill do we need? How the teacher generate learn the habits? Okay, all right. Coco mentioned about how to make the children more excited. Yes, motivation is always a key thing. ICT literacy, yes, it seems like obvious. Yep. Any other idea? Any other idea? What do you think you need to know? What is it? Any other idea? I saw laughing something. Yeah. Any idea more? I want to hear from you as well. Come on. All right. Okay. I just don't want to read the Iqwan comment there. All right. Anything else? Strategy to make them read more. Okay. Reading is one of the easy as well, right? Because nowadays the teenager children they like using mobile phone and yeah. All right. Improve my skill to support my student. Yeah. But improve my skill. What kind of skill there, Henny? Yeah. Strategy to maintain the student interest. So it seems motivation again. All right. What else do we need to know? Okay. Student strategy. Anyone want to have any other comments? No comment. No further comments. Or anyone want to unmute yourself? All.
Sorry, everyone. So we're experiencing a little bit problem with the technology. So
Okay.
please just hang on a second. I'll get back to it.
Okay.
You can see that technology is one of the problems we're facing at the moment, right? So I totally agree with you that technology is the important skill that we need to master. But sometimes even we master technology, we need a technology support as well. Even like today, we got, I think we got a technology skill, but internet doesn't work, and sometimes it works so much. Yep. All right. When I look at all of your answer, I just thought that one of the things that I would like to share with you that it is the report from UK, from BERA. BERA is they do a research. They're looking at all the literature. They do a research. They want to find out what the teacher needs in the future to build the capacity for self-improving education system. And then what do they find is that these are the dimensions of teacher effectiveness and teacher professional identity that we need to master, we need to know in order to support our students. If you look at all of this outcome, you can see that they emphasize that the subject and the pedagogical knowledge, which I'm sure that you agree with me that teacher need to master the subject and pedagogical knowledge as well. And then the other aspect that the teacher need to master, that is a practical experience. We totally agree, right? We need to know how to teach it in classroom. And some other aspect that the report found out that the teacher need to know, that is a research literacy. Is very important for the teacher as well. The teacher be able to integrate the knowledge from a different theory, apply it, adopt it in practice as well. So the research literacy, you can see that the word research happened quite a lot here. Research skill, research, inquiry, research-based knowledge, theory, and scholarship, and research literacy. So according to the comprehensive import, the research literacy is very important. And why teacher need to do research? I would like you to click on here. Yep. Or why teacher need to do this? Maybe they ask them to do in the chat box.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So just some of the technology happened today. So I would like you to type your answer on the chat box. So why do you think a teacher need to do research? Okay. Yep. Can you see the chat? All right. Yep. Can you think for 1 minute and tell me in the chat box why teacher need to do research? Yep. Can you see any answer there? All right, to create fun and meaningful learning. I like that. Yeah. Actually, fun and meaningful learning is important to develop the learning methods. Yes. Any other opinion? I really want to hear from you. Why do you think teacher need to do research? Why is that?
Speak.
Yes. Yep.
So
All right. If you can unmute, that would be great. Yep.
yeah,
Anyone would like to raise your hand and then share with me why you think teacher need to do research? You need to have a little bit of interaction. Anyone would like to raise your hand? Another one? Yep. Who? This one? Yep. To make students more engaged in the learning process. Any more idea about that? Okay. What is it? Yep. Any other idea why we need to do research to improve their skill and knowledge? Yep, that's fine. To overcome the problem, and Rinda, very good point. To overcome the problem, give solution and give some and new in the world of education. That's fantastic. To make students more engaged in the learning process, to improve their skill and knowledge. Yep. Any other comments about that? All right. Why teacher need to do research? All right. So why we need to do research? Because the contemporary education research has highlighted the importance of teachers continuing analyzing, developing their own practice, and the research showing that the trainee teachers in a high performing system are given the tool to continuing improve their practice, and then they advocate teacher as a researcher abroad. At the moment now, in all the teacher education program in Australia, we need to provide the pre-service teacher with the research skill as well. That is one of the requirements for our accreditation. I'm not sure about in Indonesia. Do you teach the action research or any kind of research skill in Indonesia?
Yeah, probably you can hear from some teachers.
Yes. Okay. All right. Yeah.
Probably any teachers who are here with us today and can share whether you've got this skills to do research.
Yes.
Did government prepare you, for instance, to do research?
Mm-hmm.
Any teachers who want to share their opinion?
Maybe Nila, you want to say something? Nila, you can unmute yourself. In your teacher education program, do you study any courses linked to research, like action research, practitioner research, or classroom-based research, or research in general? Nila? Yeah. Yes. No? All right. That's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, Lina, yes. Come on, Lina. Yeah.
I think no.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think later.
Yeah, not yet. So you'll be able to do in the future. But you know that. But in Australia, in many other countries, we try to advocate that. Like in even the UK as well. So we try to prepare the future teacher with research skill, because we think that it's so important. Why we need it? Just have a look at the slide. The research showing that the teacher develop their professional can support the school. So the teacher need to identify their own professional learning need. and to solve the school problem. So that's one of the reasons why we need to do research. And then many research has proved that teaching practice has a positive impact on students as well. But action research or research will help you to reflect more on your practice. So that is another reason that we need to do as well. And another very important comment from Frog is that professional knowledge is a sticky knowledge. Yeah, we cannot be passed on, but has to be reconstructed in the light of particularity of school culture and establish the practice. So it means that you need to inform, you need to engage in any kind of reflection, keep reflecting on your problem, and then think about the intervention to change it. Just have a look at some of the quotes that I would like to draw your attention. Do you agree with that? So what you do in the classroom is that you are the one who makes the decision. Of course, sometimes not, because it depends on the curriculum. But most of the time, when you teach, you are the one who makes the decision, who choose the pedagogy. So you see the problem. And if you want to change it, if you want to improve your student outcome, you need to do some action, some intervention. So you should conduct a research to reflect on your own teaching and your own student learning and use their knowledge and experience as well. And another point that I would like to emphasize here is that there's a lot of research already there, published, but most of the research are very general. But the research that the teacher doing need to be very specific to their own context. So that is one of the reasons why we need to do a practitioner and action research as well. Yes, the deep changes in practice can only be brought about by you who know the context. And then I would just want to emphasize that teaching is a learning profession. Do you agree with me? Yes or no? Yeah. It seems to be like everybody a little bit quiet. Yeah, teaching is a learning profession. If you agree with me, you put number 1 in the chat box, please. Yes, number 1. If you agree, you put 1. Yes. All right. 1. You agree with that? Yep. Just want to see a little bit more interaction. Yep. Fantastic. So teaching is a learning profession. You keep learning all the time. And of course, for me, every profession is a learning profession, but teaching, because you teach other people to learn. And if you are not learning, you need to question yourself whether you choose the right profession or not. Yes. And then in the next slide here, I would like to emphasize the importance of action research as a productive form of professional learning. I am sure that you know that you have been involved in a lot of professional learning activity in the school. For example, workshop, webinar, any kind of professional learning that the teacher involved in the department.
Yeah, something like there is a professional development program, I think.
Yes.
Like certification, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, which is quite similar to equipping teachers with all of this practical and theoretical knowledge.
Theoretical knowledge only. Yeah. Anyone would like to share with me that any professional program and learning you've been involved in the department so far? It seemed to me like, I don't know about Indonesia, but I think that I know a little bit because we actually implement one professional learning for teachers in Indonesia. So normally they attend the workshop. Is that right? They attend the workshop and they listen to the guest lecture.
Yeah.
And then, yes. So it is similar to many other contexts, even in Australia and the UK as well, that teacher always participate in professional learning program by attending the workshop, but it is a one-off opportunity. One opportunity. So that's the reason why in the literature, a number of scholars argue that the productive form of teacher professional development need to connect to teacher classroom and the work context. At the moment, most of the professional learning opportunity are not connected to the teacher classroom and the work context. Yes, because they attend a seminar about, for example, critical thinking, about motivating students in general, but not really linked to their classroom. So they argue that effective professional learning should be connected to teachers' classroom and the work context as well. That is the number one criteria of effective professional learning. Number two is that the professional learning should be developed over a long term rather than through one-off model. There's a lot of evidence in the literature showing that we need to develop a long term rather than only attending a workshop for 1 or 2 days, right? So we argue a lot about other way, like a mentoring program, like action research program. Yeah. Again, one of the important criteria for effective professional learning is that they connected to teachers' needs. All right, I've been working with a lot of teachers from Vietnam as well. They mentioned that they need, for example, they need to know how to support, how to motivate students to speak English in the classroom. But in fact, the professional learning is not really linked to their needs. So the effective professional learning should be connected to the teacher's need. And then the professional learning should be conducted within the professional community as well, right? So it means that the teacher working with other teachers to do it. Yeah. And then the professional learning need to be underpinned by the relevant research. It's not about what you think, what I'm thinking, but it needs to have research to back up as well. Yeah. So when you look at all the features, all the criteria of professional learning, effective professional learning, you can see that the common conceptualization, of practitioner research focus on inquiry, reflection, collaboration, improve, transform practice is aligned with the feature of effective professional learning. So when you look at professional learning, effective professional learning, and then you look at how the conceptualization of action research, practitioner research, you can see that there is alignment there. So what I'm saying is that action research is advocated as a productive, effective form of professional learning because they just show us all of the key features of professional learning. So that is one of the reasons, not only in Indonesia, but even in Australia, we run a lot of professional learning for teachers using action research as well. If you look at this model of professional learning, you can see where the action research model sits here. All right. If you look at the model of professional learning, you can see that some of the model, like a training model, a word-bearing model, deficit model, that kind of the model just transmit the knowledge. But the second model that they refer it like a transitional. But the next model about action research, they think that it's a transformative. Transformative means that you give the teacher opportunity to develop their own learning, to meet their own professional learning needs. So you can see that the knowledge can be transmitted, can be transisted, or can be transformed by a different model of professional learning, and action research actually on the top level of transformation as well. You see that? Yep. I would like to share with you about the OECD outcome, the OECD report. The OECD report is quite long ago, but they haven't got any recent report yet about this. The OECD, they survey thousands of teachers all over the place, the world, and they ask them about the teacher report, the level of impact, and the teacher report the participating in the professional development. I would like you to look at this outcome, and do you have any other comment, any comments on this? Just look at this for 1 minute, think. All right. Can you give me any idea? What do you think when you look at this report? Any idea, anything that you would like to share with us? Any view? That's true. Yeah. When you look at this, you can see that there's a lot of model that's the teachers said that they participate, and then they think that it has high impact. Anyone would share with me that what you think about this outcome? Anything that you very excited about? Anything that you think that that is important as well? Anyone would like to raise your hands? Yeah. No one would like to. Maybe I have to call anybody, or you can type you can raise your hand if you like. Yep. All right. So maybe
Can I?
Yes. Who is that? Yeah.
Yeah, my name is Astrid.
Oh, Astrid. Yes, go ahead. Yep. Astrid. Yep. Go ahead. When you look at that, what do you think?
Okay, it's interesting because I think I related this, especially the informal dialogue to improve teaching. Teachers participating in professional development here, yeah, because usually what we have, me especially in our daily life, actually I have a question there related to this.
Yes.
Is trying a new method of teaching. For example, I have 2 or 3 parallel classes, and then the first class I applied this method, and then I found it not so interesting, and then I try to have a different way of sharing the materials with the students in another class, the parallel same subject. Is it considered a research? Because we usually do this informal dialogue. We do not really come into a very formal way of discussing the methods, or let's say the action research. Because when we hear action research, it's like something empiric, something scientific. But what we have is casual, informal, and
that's right, actually.
No trace. There is no trace of the discussion. Everything is directly going to the implementation or the.
That's true. Yes. So that is just the exchange the knowledge, and then you want to apply this and apply that. And if you want to do a research, you need to have a kind of research question in your mind, and then you collect data to prove it as well. So for me, I think it's still informal dialogue to improve the teaching, not the actual research. Yep. So and any other comments on that here? You can see that there's many models. The teacher reported that they use, right? Education conference, observation visit, mentoring and peer observation, professional development network, workshop, reading professional literature, informal dialogue to improve teaching, qualification program, individual and collaborative research as well. So you can see that they said that they participate. So you look at that here, you can see that the research. Okay, I just want to put the next one. Okay, next one. Next. Okay, all right. So I like to draw your attention to this outcome. You can see here the teacher says that the teacher report that they have a high level of impact. The individual and collaborative research have a high level of impact, but actually they were not given opportunity to participate. Can you see that there? Yep. Can you see that, right? They say that, all right, if you compare to some other professional development model, like informal dialogue, like H3 just mentioned, we talk about it all the time. So it's aligned with the other outcome. Actually, the teacher mentioned that they use it a lot, like they talk about that. And then reading, of course, on the teaching, they have to read it, reading a lot, workshop a lot as well. But actually, you can see that some of other models that they don't participate. That is observation, mentoring, professional network, and then research as well. Even they said that it has a high impact, but they are not given opportunity to participate. So that is that kind of the outcome really equal the need for provide teacher with the research skill to develop individual or collaborative research as well. All right, so what is a teacher research? All right, I would like you to type your answer to the chat box. What is a teacher research? All right, I give you about 1 minute to think and
So I will give you like 1 minute to think about these questions, and if you think you've got the answer to this, you can type it in the chat column. Okay, what is teacher research, do you think, in your words, in your mind, or from something that you have read before?
all right, fantastic. What is action research? All right, done by the teacher. By what is the teacher research? Done by the teacher to improve the teaching process. S3, perfect. Either research on teacher or research conducted by teacher. Yep. Research that focus on teacher as object of the study. Any other comments about? Go ahead and just tell me what you think. It doesn't matter if you don't know the answer, but what you think in your mind is so important for us because that is the learning process as well. So yes, so what is a teacher research? Type your answer. Yep. Yep. Or anyone would like to unmute yourself and talk? All right. I can see that you've got a good understanding about teacher research. All right. So what is it? Yep. So according to born in 2017, born is a scholar from the UK. He defined that teacher research, it is an activity that teacher carry out, involve a systematic inquiry, and focus on teacher research is to improve the quality of teaching and learning. So I just want to highlight here that involve a systematic inquiry. What I mean by that? It means like it's not about I think or you think. The systematic inquiry means that you need to follow a procedure to make the research happen. It's not about the informal dialogue. Yet informal dialogue is important. Informal dialogue is very important, but when you consider it is a research, it's a different. Because research means that you need to follow a procedure, a systematic inquiry. For example, if you do a qualitative research, you need to follow a qualitative procedure, qualitative approach to carry out that research. Or if you want to do action research, you need to follow an action research process. So it is a research. So that is the number one. And again, I just want to emphasize that the teacher research is different from other research because it has to improve your own teaching practice, improve your teaching and improve your student learning as well. So that is two important part of teacher research that I would like to emphasize. All right. There are many forms of teacher research. Classroom-based research, exploratory practice, practice-based research, self-study, and action research. When you look at the teacher research, the term teacher research, you can come across with a different form. Like they are slightly different. Exploratory practice a little bit different. Practice-based research. Sometimes they use it interchangeably, but action research is a quite obvious form in the teacher, very popular form of teacher research as well. And I don't know whether you are aware that Professor Ahmad is also from UNSW as well. And Professor Ahmad are the key person in action research in language education. At the moment now, Professor Ahmad just got a book come out a couple of weeks ago. I will share with you today. So, but action research for language teacher has been advocated for a long time already, and Professor Byrne are the key person who advocate that for language teacher education as well. So that is a different form of teacher research, but for today we focus more on action research. You can see here. Okay. So action research is can be a smaller term in the classroom-based research and research in general. I just want you to tell me, do you have any burning question about action research? I would like you to click on this link and then give the question. And then you share the link. Yep. Send the link in the chat box. Yep. Put in the chat box. Yep. Yep. Got it. All right. Yes. So I would like you to look at the link. All right. And then you type any burning question about the action research. I just want to hear from you. Any question you would like to know about action research? Yeah. Okay. Can you set the link? Yes or no? Yep. Oh, what happened?
We just use the chat box.
What is it?
So we just use the chat box as well.
Yeah. Can you accept it? You cannot accept it? Can you ask them?
Can you access the form and type something there or no?
No.
I'm so sorry, we cannot type or write something there because we need access for that.
Okay.
All right, that's good. All right, so how about you type on your chat box for me? Do you have any burning question?
And difficulties probably, yeah, that you
Yeah.
have encountered.
Yeah.
Or something.
Burning question about action research. Yes, so you cannot accept. Yeah. So you can type, so you have about 1 minute to type your burning question about action research in the chat box.
I'm so sorry, Professor, we cannot write anything there.
Yeah, what if you use the chat box in Zoom? Probably it's best
Okay.
to do
Okay.
that.
Thank you.
All right, I can see some of the comment here. All right, about what is a burning question. Yeah. All right. Keep thinking about the question you want to ask. Okay, that's the main problem of ongoing about student, and what problem is the teacher itself. All right. Yep. Yep. Continue. Yep. All right. Very good point. It also contains some cycle, but should we repeat it or not? All right, very good. All right. So it seems like a very, very important question. I hope that you can answer the question by the end of this seminar today. So now what I'd like you to do is that I would like you to watch this video. You click on the link here I put the link in the chat box here. You watch this video, and then after that, you will let me know about what do you understand about action research. Yep. So I put the link on the chat here. Yep. Iqwan, can you help me put the link in the chat?
Okay, sure.
Yeah, thank you. All right, I would like you to watch the video, and then after that, come back and let me know what have you learned from the video. Iqwan, would you like to watch? Would you like to watch it from your own computer, or you want me to share here?
Okay. Can you share the video from there? Or
I can share from here if you want. Yep. Can you access the Google form now?
do you want me to share the video with the participants?
Yes. And so I can share it now here. Yep.
Teaching is a craft. It's both an art and a science.
Can you hear it? Yep.
Teaching is a craft. It's both an art and a science, which is why great teachers always experiment and make tons of mistakes. But how do you know what's actually working? Well, one option is action research. Here you can identify a question, test out a strategy, gather data, and determine if it works. The end result is something dynamic, innovative, and tied directly to your classroom. Action research dissolves the barrier between the participants and the researchers. In other words, the teacher actively participates in the situation while also conducting the research. There are many action research frameworks, but they generally follow a similar process. You start out in phase 1, planning for research. Here you begin with inquiry, where you define a specific research question. It needs to be something that can actually be tested. Next, you conduct a literature review to gain a deeper understanding of the topic. Finally, you move into the design process, where you determine your data methods, consider ethical issues, get the required permissions, create deadlines, and set up the systems. Next, you move into the action phase. This is where you engage in multiple cycles of experimentation and data collection. Your data collection might include qualitative data like observations, artifacts, and interviews, or quantitative data like rubric scores, surveys, or achievement data. Afterward, you move to analysis. You'll often start by organizing the data with charts or graphs and looking for specific trends. You might also discuss it with peers, rewrite in a journal, or create a cluster map before eventually writing out the results. Finally, you have your conclusion. This is where you share your research with the world and reflect on your own practice. This will ultimately lead to newer questions, and the cycle will continue as you refine your craft as a better, more creative teacher.
All right, thank you. So now, could you please let me know what have you learned from the video? Anything you learned from the video, you can type your answer in the chat box if you like. Okay, anything you learned from the video? Yeah. Yep. Can you put in the chat box, please? Anything you learned from the video? Yeah. Yep. I can see only some here. It seems simple. Yes. Actually, that's good. Really good. All right. All right. Yeah. Anything else? Anything else as well? Yep. Yep. I just want to hear more from you. Anything you would like to comment on that? Anything else? Yep. It's a systematic. We should follow step by step. Very good, Isa. Thank you for that. Yep. Any other comments? Yep. Any other comment about that? Any other comment from the video that you think that you'll be able to do it? Yep. All right. That's so good. All right. Can you see my slide again now? All right, so you can see that. So you'll be able to tell me what is action research. The video is quite seem like a very simple way to do action research, right? But it's not very simple that way. When you look at the everyday practice, you think about your own teaching. Do you believe that? Do you agree that a teacher analyze what work did not work in your classroom? When you're teaching, when after finish the teaching, you always keep asking yourself, what worked today, what doesn't work today? Like today, Iqwan and me obviously know that some technology doesn't work. So we had to change immediately, right? So what works, what doesn't work? You keep thinking about that all the time and the way to do it better. So always asking the question, what if I use it, is it better for my student or not? So it's always the question like that. So again, if you think about the action research, it's something very complicated. It's not right because you do action research every day. Well, you keep asking the question, but action research won't have you to answer the question in a more systematic way, more organized, more formal, more rigorous, systematic approach of trying a new idea. So when you think about what you can do better, but action research will also help you to think about what you can do better, but you do it in a more systematic way. You observe what happened, you reflect on that, and you report on that. So it is action research. Because I've been working with a lot of teachers in Indonesia, in Australia as well. When the teachers are very busy, when they talk about the word action research, they very worried. They just thought, oh, I don't have time to do that. I'm very busy. But in fact, action research is not something different from your teaching practice. It is a part of your teaching practice anyway. So I like the idea that actually mentioned here that it seems to be very simple. I like that. I never heard anyone say that it's simple, but when you think it's simple, it means that you can do it. Yep. Yep. So what is the action research according to the literature? So action research involves a self-reflective, systematic, critical approach to inquiry by participants who are at the same time a member of research community. So the participants of action research here are your students, your colleagues, and even you are the participant as well. So it is different from the other research, like the research that Iqwan are doing at the moment. Iqwan, you are not the participant of your research. You are the researcher, right? And the participant of your research are those who you interview. But for action research, the participants the researchers are also the participant. You investigate your own teaching practice. So I just want to emphasize the number one is that you are the one who do research, but you are also the participant in the research. It is a self-reflective because you keep reflect on your practice. It's systematic because you have to follow a cycle. You follow a structure of doing that. It is critical because you need to read the theory. You need to inform your intervention. So that are the three important points that I would like to emphasize. Professor Ahmad also emphasized that the aim of action research is to identify a problematic situation, the issue, and then you do some changes. You do some implementation or intervention to change it. So action research is underpinned by a democratic principle in that the ownership of change is invested in those who conduct the research. So that's some of the key points that I would like to emphasize here is that you fix the problem you think that you have, you reflect on your own practice. You have to follow the structure, and you need to inform your intervention by the theory or by the literature. These are some of the characteristics that I summarized from a different researcher important in the field, as well as I mentioned earlier that Professor Ahmad is just Professor Ahmad retired already, but she's seemed to be one of the first scholar to initiate and do a lot of research about action research, and Dr. Neville Ellis as well. He also did a PhD about action research for teacher in Singapore. And Emily Edward is also have a PhD study about action research with Professor Ahmad, who also wrote a recent book about action research. And you may know that chemists are the key person in action research as well. So these are the characteristics of action research that I would like to emphasize again. I would like you to look at that. Number one, focus on local issue. All right. What do you mean by local issue here? Local issue here is mean that that is the issue you're facing in your own teaching practice. If you think that you don't know how to use Zoom, that is a local issue. So you figure it out how to do it better. So you are the one who own the project. You initiate that because you think that this is one of your problems and you want to do a research to improve your teaching practice. Number three is that collaboration with others to identify the issue, to collect and analyze data. For example, like you work at university and you work in school. You won't have a group of teachers work together, and then you'll be able to have informal dialogue, like Ashley mentioned, informal dialogue, talk about the common issue your students are facing. For example, my students are very shy, they don't want to participate in the lecture, something like that. And you work with other teachers to see, is it the problem is common across other classes or not? It means that the action research, when you do the action research, you don't need to do it by yourself. You can collaborate with other teacher, other lecturer in your teaching context to do it, to collect, to analyze data as well. Number 4 is that systematic, make the connection with theory. It means that, as I mentioned earlier, that when you think something works, you need to justify it. It's not because you think it's good, it's because you justify it. Like, okay, it is good because the research showing that has been used this method already, but now I want to see whether this method works in my context. So you need to link to the research, you need to link to the theory, and you implement the intervention. And then after that, you have to follow a cycle of action research to make sure that it is rigorous. You have a plan option. I talk more about the in a minute. Yeah. All right. I like this quote very much, so I just want to share with you here. I think one of the key important aspects of action research is that action research has been designed to bridge the gap between research and practice, to overcome the persistent failure of research to impact on, to improve and practice. Because you are the teacher, you are the lecturer at your university, you are a teacher in school, you'll be able to apply the research in your own teaching context. So for me, action research is very important and practical because it brings the gap between research and practice. You want to see that theory work in your context or not. So that is a key feature of action research. As I mentioned earlier, that action research can be engaged by a single teacher, by a group of colleagues. You also need to collaborate with other people as well to do it. One of the projects that I'm working with teacher in Australia is that we mentor the teacher to do action research as well. So it means that the teacher in school to collaborate with us as a researcher at university to do an action research to solve one of the problems in their work as well. I just want to ask you a question about how does action research is different from other research? Can you think about that? Iqwan, can you just make a copy that Google put in the chat box to see whether people can access it? Yeah. I just want you to think about how does action research is different from other research. Can you assess this? Yep. Yep. Can people assess this? I hope that you can type your answer in here so we can share it. How does the action research, how is it different from other research? All right. Can you type your answer in here? Iqwan, can you type your answer in there? You try it?
Okay. So do we use the chat box instead? Or?
Yes.
Here's the answers here in the chat box.
Okay, so we use the chat box, it's easier. Yep. All right. Thank you, Atri. The challenge is arranging the plan, make them organized. Yep. So how is it different from research? Very good point, Radiat. To action research, we can know how well. Yep. Action research can only done by teacher. That's a good point. Good point, Nuru. I would like to hear more from your view. What is the difference between action research and other research? Yeah. All right. I just give you about 1 minute to give me the answer. Just forget the link because the link doesn't work. Yeah. Just type your answer in the chat box. Okay. Yep. Very good. Very good, Atri. Yep. I want to hear more. The step. Yep. Yep. What do you mean by the step? Teacher is a main participant. That's what you mean. Yep. That's a good point. We can't stop the fray until the result get better. I don't know about this. I think we can't stop the cycle. You mean until the result getting better? No. Actually, you don't need to make sure. You don't need to prove that your intervention work. You can start another cycle again. Yeah. But you can stop it if you don't think it doesn't work, right? The purpose is a different. Very good, Yumi. The purpose is a different from other research. Yep. All right. So I thank you very much for your comments. So what is the difference? Yeah. All right. So you can see that how does action research different from other research study? It is a research with people, not on people. It is a research by particular people on their own work to help them to improve what they do, include how they work with and other. The research, I just want to emphasize number one is that normally other research, we work on people, right? For example, Iqwan are working on a project now. He need to interview other Indonesian family. So that is the research on Indonesian family. All right. Or I do a lot of research in teacher professional development. So I do research on teachers. But action research is a different. Action research is the research with people. Right? It means that you implement the research with your student, with other people, but you don't not only focus on the researcher is a direct participant of the research. I did mention it earlier that you are the participant of the research. You have the intervention, right? You identify the problem and then you implement the intervention and you evaluate that. The action research is subjective rather than objective because you are the one who implement it. So they many people think that it. Huh? Okay. Moving. What is the slide? Yeah. You cannot see it? Can you see it? Yep. Can you see this? Yeah. Can you see it? I think you see it, right? All right. So you be able to how is it different from other people? It's more subjective because you'll be able to implement it. It's a subjective, and you don't really generalize it. So that is another thing that the action research is so different from other research as well. All right. So what action research does not typically do? I would like you to look at the slide and can you see this slide? Oh, sorry, you don't see this slide? It's a problem. I apologize. That's something happened again. Okay. Yes. Try again. Can you see it now? Yeah. Can you see it now? Action research.
Yes, you can see it.
Yes, sorry, it may be some of the problem with the internet. So what action research does not typically do is that, again, the action research don't compare. The action research don't try to approve it. Just have a look at all of this feature that action research does not typically do. They don't generalize the finding. You implement it in your own context doesn't mean that you can apply to another context. Okay. Yep. So you don't do any control and experimental group. You only do with one group. What I would like you to do is that I would like you to look at that. Look at this inquiry and tell me whether it is action research or not. All right, just look at that. Look at 7 part. Can you see it here? Huh? Make it too small. Yep. Where can I make it? Slideshow. Yeah. Where is this? No. Yep. Can you see it? Can you see it now? Yep. Can you see it now, Isa?
Is it statements 1 through 7?
Yes.
Seven
Yeah.
questions or
Yes,
7
it's clear.
statements?
We can see it.
Thank you, Isa. Yes. I would like you to read this 7 statement here and tell me whether it's action or it is action research or not. Maybe for 3 minutes. 3 minutes, and after that I won't call any of you if you like. Think about that. Think about all of the following inquiry and decide where and where not to use action research. Can you use action research with this kind of problem or not? All right. Are you ready? Are you ready to tell me what you think? Okay. All right. So if you think that it is action research, you put 1. And if you think it's not, you put 2 in the chat box, right? Okay. Are you with me? So question number 1. Student taking time to complete the listening test is too long. How are you going to find out why and so what? You can do something about that. You think that it can be an action research or not? You put 1 if it's yes and 2 it is no. All right. I can see it. Iqwan, you see that a lot of them put 1 or 2? Where can I see the chat? So you put 1 or 2 is fine? Yep.
There are people who put number 2, which means no, and some of them say it's yes, 1, 1, 1.
All right. So who put 1 and who put 2? Can you call one person who put 2 for me there?
Yeah, Nurul say it's not an action research.
Yes, Noro, can you unmute yourself and can you explain it to me? You know, there's
Seems that I
no right or wrong answer here. Yeah.
I changed my mind. I changed my answer into 1. Yeah.
Okay,
Sorry.
right. No, that's good. If you change it one, that's fine. You know, it can be no if you argue in a different way. But for me, number one is a yes, because you as a teacher, you know that your student got a problem, and then you want to find out about why is that, and then you work out your solution, right? By implement some solution. So for me, it can be an action research. All right. Number two, please feel free to put one or two, right? Don't worry if I call you. Yes. Number two, your student are achieving remarkable high score. Why? And is it your teaching, extra study, or new classroom environment? One or two.
Most of them say it's not a connection research.
Perfect. I like it. Thank you very much. Thank you. It is not an action research because there's nothing linked to the teaching practice, right? Because you want to know whether it is extra study or new classroom, but you don't implement any of this. So this one is not an action research. You can do an action research if you change it into like if I change a new classroom environment, I just want to see whether my student get a higher score, right? So it can be action research. But look at this statement. I don't think it is action research. Thank you for that. Well done. Number three. Number three, Iqwan?
No response just yet. Yes, there's one here. No.
One yes and no. It's still confusing answer there. Yeah. Can you? I just want to hear you more. Yes or no? One or two?
Two.
Yes. Who say one there?
Nobody says one so far.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It is number two because here it's a research. It's not an action research, right? Because you want to see the student from Western background are more active than those from Asian background or not. It's not linked to your teaching practice. You are not the participant in the research. So it's not action research. Number four, how do I learn to improve my own timekeeping? Number four, yes or no? One or two?
Okay, one.
Please answer that. One or two? Yes.
Yes,
Iqwan,
yes,
I
yes.
expect everybody say one.
Yeah, one.
Yes. Okay. Yes, thank you. Number five. Number five, one yes or no? One or two?
Two.
Perfect. I don't think I need any job here anymore. You all understand it very well. Very well. Thank you. Number five is no. Because it doesn't link to your teaching practice and you are not the participant, right? Number six. Number six, one or two?
One.
Perfect. Oh my goodness. Oh, I love to have another seminar. Fantastic participant. Number six is yes. Thank you. Number six, yes. Number seven. Number seven. I'm curious, Iqwan, number seven, yes or no? One or two? Statement number seven.
Two. So most of them say it's not connection research.
Perfect. Oh my goodness. Thank you very much for your wonderful answer. So it seemed to me like you got a very good understanding about action research by now. Number seven is no, because it doesn't link to your teaching practice, doesn't solve any problem. You are not the participant. Very good. Thank you for that. Okay, so show next. Okay, what can you see there? So now you know that when do you use action research and when not use action research, right? Iqwan, can you see the slide about when and when?
Yeah, I think I can see the slide.
Yes. So when is that? So you answer all the question are right there. So I get that you know that. So I just want you to look at this. You use action research when you want to evaluate whether what you are doing is influencing your own practice or other people learning, or you need to do something different. You might want to improve your understanding, develop your learning, influence other people learning. Do not use action research if you want to draw a comparison, showing statistical collaboration and demonstrate a cause and effect relation. So you obviously know about that. All right. So for the next part, I would like to check with you about, yes, you know that it's important of action research. You know what action research is. And now how we be able to do it. So what is the action research process that you need to follow? Because as I mentioned earlier, that action research is a systematic inquiry. It means that you need to follow a procedure to do that. It's not about have informal dialogue and you do whatever you want to do, but you need to follow a rigorous step of doing action research so you can do the action research effectively. So for the next part, I talk about the action research process. I would like you to listen to this video about the process of doing action research and then keep thinking in your mind about the key takeaway point from this video as well. I turn it on here.
Welcome to this short video, the action research process. This video gives you an overview. Welcome to this short video, the action research process. This video gives you an overview of the action research process. So let's begin. As you know, in the previous section, we discussed some definitions of action research. According to Carr and Kemmis, action research is simply a form of self-reflective inquiry undertaken by participants in social situations in order to improve the rationality and justice of their own practices, their understanding of these practices, and the situations in which the practices are carried out. Action research encourages teachers to examine their theory and practice and evaluate their teaching through systematic inquiries. The core of action research is reflection. The teachers keep reflecting on what they are doing, why they are doing it, and what impacts occur. This echoes the importance of deeper understanding of the process involved in action research. Borg defines action research as a form of practitioner research which is characterised by particular procedures which broadly involve the introduction and evaluation of new practices, typically through a number of cycles. Multiple cycles and models of action research exist, but they all share the core elements. I find in particular the model of action research proposed by Kemmis and McTaggart appealing. According to Kemmis and McTaggart, the cycle of action research consists of 4 steps, and we'll move through those now. You can see from this diagram the 4 steps. And the first step is planning, and that involves developing a plan of critically informed action to improve what is already happening. The second step is to act, that is, that you act to actually implement the plan that you have developed. The third step involves observing. So in the classroom, you observe the effects of the critically informed action in the context in which it occurs. And finally, and very importantly, the 4th stage of action research, according to Kemmis and McTaggart, is reflecting. You reflect on the effects as the basis for further planning and subsequently critically informed action through a succession of stages. Now let's look at the steps involved with action research in more detail, and we begin by determining the question. The action research process usually starts with a question or an observation raised either by you or your students about an issue, problem, or difficulty experienced by some or all of them in their learning. And so this is something that happens in your day-to-day teaching practices where issues arise. Alternatively, a more affirmative approach might encourage you to look at actions that are successful with some of your students so that you can extend this good practice to all of your students. The next stage is planning. And this involves firstly identifying the issue to be changed and then looking elsewhere for information. For example, you may look at similar projects in other schools. You may refer to some professional reading to get ideas of what you can do to change things. Next, you develop the questions and research methods to be used, and then you develop a plan related to the specific environment, that is your own teaching environment. So some of the information you get from similar projects maybe need to be adapted to suit your teaching environment. The planning stage of action research is encapsulated in this quote by Cousin, 2009. The first stages of action research involves data collection and analysis, referred to as reconnaissance, planning, and preliminary research. Now we'll move to the next stage, which is acting. Acting involves trialling the change following your plan in your own classroom. The next part of acting is to
Something happened?
Welcome to this short video, The Actions Research Process.
Can you hear
This
that?
video gives you an overview. This
Just stop it.
environment, importantly, you'll share your findings with stakeholders and peers. So this would include, for example, in your own classroom. The next part of acting is to collect and compile evidence. And this is a really crucial stage. It's not enough simply to follow your plan. You need to have some evidence to reflect on. After you've collected and compiled evidence, you need to question the process and make the changes as required. Now we move to observing, and observing involves analysing the evidence and collating the findings. And then you might like to discuss the findings with co-researchers or colleagues to also get their interpretation of what has happened in the classroom. After you've done this, you'll write a report, and then very importantly, you'll share your findings with stakeholders and peers. So this would include, for example, the teachers who you have consulted, the students who've been involved in the action research, any other co-researchers. So it's really important actually to share these findings. The final stage that we move to is reflecting, and this involves evaluating the first cycle of the process and implementing the new findings or the new strategy. Again, it's not enough just to do it once. You need to revisit the process. That is, you go through the same cycle, adjusting as necessary. So action research is actually a cyclical process. You don't just do it once. It will characterise your teaching practice. When working through your action research, remember that firstly, it is cyclical and progress is made in small chunks. Don't try to completely transform your classroom practices or your classroom environment in one enormous project. Work in small manageable chunks. Very importantly, action research is based heavily on critical reflection. Without critical reflection, it's impossible for you to make valid conclusions about whether or not the changes that you wish to make are effective. You can use a wide range of methods for collecting data, but it might be advisable to limit these to a manageable number. Otherwise, you will end up with just too much material to work through. And finally, all participants should have a meaningful role in the collection and presentation of data. And again, the participants include you as the teacher, your students, and even colleagues if you choose to involve them in your action research. Action research is often depicted using a cycle, and we see here that it is repeated in a number of stages, but each stage includes the same procedures. In reality, it may not be as neat as the spiral suggests, but the process is likely to be more fluid, open, and responsive than what this very neat diagram depicts. Various versions of the action research cycle have been proposed, and I'd like to now introduce you to another model proposed by Sagor 2010. This model is more detailed, but it includes the same procedures as the model proposed by Kennis and McTaggart on slide 4. Sagor suggests a 7-step cycle, beginning with selecting a focus, Secondly, clarifying theories. Thirdly, identifying research questions. Fourthly, collecting data. Fifthly, analysing the data. Number 6, reporting the results. And finally, taking informed action. I hope the models that I've presented to you today will guide your action research effectively. I would like to emphasise that it is very useful and important that as an action researcher, you follow the steps and cycles of a particular framework or model. Having said that, there is no one-size-fits-all model. It is useful for you to develop your own model describing the process you take to implement action research in your own context. However, if you do this, it's important that you document the process.
All right. Thank you, everyone. So, what are the key takeaways from the message from the video here? Is that I would like to emphasize that the cycle of action research, and you can hear from the video that they need to follow the key step in doing that. The first step should be planning. You need to spend time planning on how you might investigate the question you have identified and what possible changes you might make. And then consult with your student about it or other teacher about it as well, and explain what you intend to do and why. So planning is the number one step you need to follow about that. You identify the problem. And the second step that you need to follow, as I mentioned in the email, in the video, is that it is you take action as a plan by initiating an inquiry, changing your own practice. For example, like I know that my student reading comprehension is very low, and then I just want to implement one pedagogy to help to improve the teaching comprehension. For example, I want to use a Super 6 strategy to enhance my reading comprehension. So it means that you have to plan the intervention, and then you apply that. For example, you use the Super 6 strategy with the hope that to enhance your student reading skill. So it is a second step in action research. And then after that, you have to observe. You observe and record the responses to your action, noting any changes in the behavior of your student or asking them for feedback. For example, you want to use the Super 6 strategy to enhance your student reading skill. So you need to have to measure your student reading skill before you apply that, right? And then you apply the Super 6 strategy. And then after that, you observe during the time you're teaching that strategy, you observe any changes in your student reading habit or reading skill. So it's just the observation is a key important step in action research. And after that, you reflect on that. You take time to review it. So you can see that plan, act, observe, and reflect. This is a cycle of reflection. You come up with a question, you plan it, you implement it, you observe it, and you evaluate and reflect on that to see whether it works or it doesn't work in your context. Sometimes Super 6 strategy very effective to enhance the reading skill in another context, but may not work in my context. And then you want to tell us the reason why. And then you can apply another cycle again because maybe at that time I think that I teach the Super 6 strategy on Friday night, and on the Friday evening or Friday afternoon, my students are not interested to learn. So I may change the next cycle by teaching on Monday morning when they're more interested. So you keep reflecting on that. You write your own reflection. So that is the process that you need to follow as well. Any questions so far about this? No? Any question on the chat box? No?
Well, there is one question about hypothesis, which seems to be the concerns of the participants. Like, is it really necessary to have hypothesis in the AR? That's the biggest.
Okay, that's a very interesting question. People have a different view about that, but my view is that for action research, we may not have a hypothesis because we cannot answer the yes/no question. We only answer the question to what extent because you don't have experimental and control group to do it. You implement in only one group, and then it's very hard to say that because of this intervention, they change something, but you collect data from a different data. You provide the evidence, but the quant data cannot help you to answer the hypothesis. But for me, the research question tend to be more open-ended question rather than yes or no or hypothesis question. So I don't think hypothesis is advised in research question for the action research. But yep, very good question. Any other questions so far? Yep. You just feel free to interrupt me, Iqwan, if you have any question.
Yeah.
All right. So the next step I would like to share with you is that sometimes it's very important to find the focus of your action research. I have some question here to guide you to find the focus of your action research. Question number one is that how did you identify this topic and why? What do you want to know about this topic? Why is it of your interest to you and your student? How could you do to try to enhance what is happening without this topic? What are you likely to learn by focusing on this topic? And do you have any teaching gap in mind? Classroom, dilemma, problem, or punchline that you want to solve? So in order to find the focus of your action research, you need to think about all of these questions. I just want to hear whether do you have any classroom dilemma or problem in your own teaching practice? Can you share with me? And you can type your answer on the chat box or you unmute yourself. Yep. You look at this question and anyone would like to share with me that you can identify any problem and it is a focus of the action research. I just want to hear from you. Yep. Anyone want to share with me, or I may call somebody at random?
If we've got any teachers participant today, probably it's good if you can share your experience, your classroom experience, the problems you may encounter.
University lecturer, Iqwan, university lecturer.
Yeah.
Lecturer. Do you have any teaching gap in your mind? You want to improve, you want to solve, you want to yes. Yep. Anyone wants to share, or I may call, or Iqwan, you can call anyone who you think that would like to share, or they can type the answer on the chat box.
Can we hear from the lecturer, please, or from any teachers who are here with us today?
Can I?
Yes, Astrid. Yes, Astrid. If you want to do a PhD, come and study with me. Okay, I like Astrid. Yes.
Thank you. Okay, well, actually, if you ask about the problem, then I think there are some of my students here.
Fantastic. Yes.
Okay, so it's like pouring their heart out. Yeah. The problem in nowadays classes is how to make them think critically, or how to make them question the materials, because after we share the materials and then we give them even a simple, easy questions, they are not willing to answer that. So what should we do then?
Yes, actually, that is the perfect problem. That is the perfect problem that you can work on, like how to encourage my student to think critically. I think it's the number one important. As a lecturer, as a teacher, you know that if you tell the student what you know, they don't learn effectively. You need them to think, right? The more you think, the better you can absorb the information, the knowledge. And you just only listening. The learning doesn't really happen effectively in that way. So actually identify the problem here is how to develop student critical thinking, because she said that she asked a question, but student not interested in answering that. Yeah, very good point. Yeah, so that is the focus of your action research. Astrid, you think so? Astrid?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I believe so. But like I wrote in my comment earlier, that the challenge is to put them into writing or to make them organized. So what we have in mind, I don't know whether other lecturers here think the same way, but what I have is that I just before I teach, while I'm preparing the material, I always imagine how the students will respond to that. So if I say this, what the response will be. If I give them questions, what will be the answer, and that. But it's not in a written form. I have it only in my head, and then I will just go with the planning, and after that I will evaluate. Oh, that doesn't work, and then I will try another thing to another class with the same subject, but no written again, no written plan. Just
I
yeah.
understand what you mean, but I agree with you that is the focus of your action research, how to improve my student critical thinking. So if I were you, I would do a lot of search in the literature to find out about a different way, a different way to raise the question, or find about or do I maybe one of the strategy can be how can I use the Bloom taxonomy to structure my question to develop my student critical thinking. How does it sound? Yep. Are you with me, S3? Yep. So it just you one method. So one of the methods in the literature that people use a lot is just the Bloom taxonomy. Use the Bloom taxonomy in questioning technique to see whether the questioning technique would enhance your student critical thinking. I actually implemented and have a publication about Bloom taxonomy in enhancing teacher critical thinking in the context of Indonesia. I will send it to Iqwan, so Iqwan can share with all of you. So it can be one of the intervention actually about that. Yeah, but we need to figure it out. How do you collect data, right?
Yeah.
We're going to talk more in another minute. Thank you for that, Atri. So here are some examples of action research topic that I collected from the language teacher in a different context that I run the program. Some of the problem and some of the example of the action research topic that the teacher really interested. I hope that after the webinar today, you'll be able to identify the focus of your research question. All right. So the next step, you got the focus already. So the next step is defining the scope of your research question. So actually, if you look at this question, can you identify your own research community then? Who else do I need to include? What resources will I have? What ethical issue must I consider? Or am I really interested? That are the questions I would like you to ask in your mind when you think about the topic of doing action research. All right. So actually, maybe in your context, you would like to involve other lecturers, right? You want to involve, I don't know about parents, but involve other lecturers about that in your context to see whether other people have a similar idea. Yeah, Atri, would you like to say something?
Sometimes, yeah. Can I? Sorry.
Yes, of course you can. Yeah.
Sorry. Sometimes I also ask the students outside of the class. Because maybe students are not open to the lecturers because they will think that, oh, if I say this or if I offend the teacher or the lecturers, then it may reduce the score of the class. Yeah, it's a kind of insecurity of the students, maybe. Yeah, because that's one point. And another point, sometimes I ask the students, do you think what I did is comforting the class or makes you relax? Sometimes I feel I'm intimidating. Sometimes.
I can see that. That's fantastic, actually. So you have to identify who do you talk with, because sometimes what you believe might not right. You may talk with your student to see what is the problem here. Why don't you want to answer my question? Why is that? So you can talk with other people. Fantastic. So I want to emphasize the importance of collaboration in action research here, that you need to talk with other people.
Before I forgot, Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
In one of the, what is it? Sometimes one lecture, several lecturers have the same students, right? So for different subjects in university level, and
Yes.
unfortunately, we sometimes we found or we conclude that it's the students or the class characteristics. For example, me and one of my colleagues teaches two similar classes, and then we have the same opinion that this class is active. They engage themselves in the discussion, but the other is not. So it's I don't know. Well,
Yes.
I don't
So
want to blame anyone or anything here, but that is
true.
what happened.
Yes, that's
Um,
true.
yeah, the one
You
class
might
is active
you
in
might
their
need to
own way, and another
yes.
is not.
Mhm. You might need to find the actual reason, or maybe that is the time you have a lecture. Actually, that I did one research in Australia. The student more engaged when they are not in the Friday afternoon. If you do something on Friday afternoon, it doesn't work. They just feel tired. They want to have a weekend. I'm sure that I'm not sure whether a student in Indonesia, I guess that is a hardworking student, so they may study on Friday or weekend. But in Australia, I feel like Friday afternoon is not a good time to do anything new. You have to find out why it works with this group, but doesn't work in another group. You need to observe them as well to have some
Yeah,
instrument.
we are on
Yeah.
it.
All right, that's a good question, Asri. Thank you for that. Yeah. The next part of action research is that to make action research is different from the informal dialogue about research. We need to have a research question. All right, the research question need to be clear, need to be specific, answerable, relevant, and interconnected. I want to give you 1 minute to look at what I mean by clear and specific, as to be able to answer that. You need to be answerable, so you can see what data are needed as well, right? So I take actually as an example here. Actually interested in developing student critical thinking, right? The research question, I try to make a research question for you, Atri. The research question, for example, like that: how do I use Bloom taxonomy
I'm taking notes. I'm taking notes.
You're taking notes, yes. So how do I use the Bloom taxonomy in structuring my questioning technique to develop my student critical thinking, right? Something like that. Something like how do I use the Bloom taxonomy in structuring my question? Because sometimes students cannot answer my question because the questions are too difficult. Bloom taxonomy can help you to structure that properly. Maybe, I don't know. But I think about one solution, right? Or how do I use the problem posing framework by Paulo Freire to enhance my student critical thinking as well? That is some of the strategy. But in this point, actually, you need to tell me, how do you measure student critical thinking, right? That is the number one. How do you measure that? Because it can help you to answer the question or not. What do you mean by critical thinking, right? Critical thinking is mean that student can answer that? No, it's more than that. There is some framework there. There are some instrument there for you to measure critical thinking. So you need to bring that into your research. It's not about my student can answer yes or no, but the level of the answer. What it mean by critical thinking? The critical thinking is mean that can answer the question with level. You know what I mean? So that is something that you have to put into consideration to do that. Okay. For the research question, you avoid the question that you can do little about that. For example, I have a work with one of the teachers. She have one question like, how do I change? How do I use technology to change the teaching contents of the school curriculum. That is something really big, and I advise the teacher need to avoid that, right? You avoid the question that you can do little about that, especially in the context of Indonesia. The curriculum, it seems to be like a top down, so you can't change the curriculum. You only change your teaching pedagogy in your practice, right? You tell the question to the time that you are available. Keep things simple, not too many questions. So some of the things that you need to consider for this one, for making a research question. I just want you to look at this question and tell me, is it good or not? Just answer it by yourself in 1 minute. So if you think that is a good question, you put 1. If you think not good question, you put 2. So I give you 1 minute to maybe 30 seconds to do it. Yeah. All right. Are you ready? Are you ready? Yes or no? Yes? Yeah. Number 1. What improved motivation in my class? Is it the good research question? You say 1 and 2 is mean no. Can you type your answer on the chat box, please? 1 or 2? Iqwan, can you see it for me? That is a 1 or 2? Question number 1.
Nothing so far.
Nothing so far. Question number 1. Do you think that is a good research question for action research or not?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, they say it's good. 1, 1, 1.
1 on 1?
Yeah, 1, 1, 1.
What improved motivation in my class?
5 ones now.
Yes. All right. It's not too bad research question. It can be a good research question that what improved motivation in my class. So you can be able to identify what strategy to improve. But for me, it's still broad. For me, it's still broad. It's still general. You might need to be narrow it a little bit. It can be a good question, but you need to unpack it further. Like you may have some sub question about that. What motivates motivation in my class? For me, it tends to be general. Okay. Number 2. Number 2 is a 1 or 2.
1. 1, 1.
Yeah. Answer me 1 or 2. Quick.
Yeah. It's a 1. They say 1.
Yes. Perfect. Number 2, I agree with you. That is a 1 because you think it's very, very specific. What kind of reading task will assist my year 8 student to develop a better reading skill? So I can see that the intervention here is a reading task. The outcome here is a reading skill. Okay. Number 3.
2.
Yes.
2, 2, 2.
Perfect. Iqwan, I love all of them. Fantastic. Number 3 is 2. It's too general. What is a learner-centered learning? It actually is not research question for action research anyway, right? It's too general. It's not good research question. Number 4. Number 4, 1 or 2?
1.
Yes.
1. 1.
Yes. Number 4 is the one very specific. That is intervention is about group work. How do I extend the group work in my class, right? Number 5.
Two.
Yes, it's not research
Oh, there's
question.
somebody saying 1. It's 1.
Somebody say 1. Yeah. I don't think it's a research question, and I don't think it's a good research question, because how do which student get low score? It is a research question anyway, but it's still very general, right? And it's not really specific. Number 6. How do students feel about their science lesson? Is it a good research question for action research? 1 or 2?
1.
Think.
2.
You think it's good?
2. It's rather mixed, this one.
Mixed. Okay.
Mixed result.
Mixed result. All right. That's fine. But for me, how do teachers feel about their science lesson is not a good question, because it's too general. Doesn't link to any specific intervention you want to implement in your context. Okay. All right. So I may pass this activity, because I really want you to just share with me the research question that you want to implement for your future action research. But I think that I may leave as activity for the department to do it later after the workshop. Maybe each of you won't write an action research proposal and you do it. So I pass these activities. I don't think we can do it here in this webinar, but normally one of the activities that I'm interested in, that I want to hear from you about your own problem and the research question you can develop from that. But we may not have time now, so I hope that you can continue thinking about that in the future. Yeah. I just want to share with you that the interview from a study by Professor Ahmad that with the language teachers in Australia. And the teachers say that sometimes they change the research question later on when they do the action research. It's similar like us, right, Iqwan? We change the research question on the way. So it is an ongoing process. Is that what I mean? Yeah. So after you decide the focus of your action research, you need to decide on the data you will collect as well. So what are the main action when you put in practice? These are some of the questions who guide you to decide on the data. What information do you require to document the action and answer your question? What methods would you use for collecting the information? So that are the 3 key questions you need to ask yourself, can help you to structure your action research when you decide to collect data. So I may ask Atri is there? Atri is maybe not. Yeah.
Yes.
Atri, so you think about your topic, Atri? I'm sorry that I always call you for your topic. But when you think about your topic, Atri, when you think about the topic, can you answer this question?
What are the main actions you will put in place?
Yes.
I'm thinking about my class, so hold on a minute. Give me some minutes.
Oh, that's fine. For example, like what are the main actions? So it means like, as I suggested, you use the Bloom's taxonomy.
Okay.
Yes, that is your still your action result. That you use the Bloom taxonomy, so you may use the Bloom taxonomy to structure your questioning technique, right? So the action in your class might be you use that question to ask them. Maybe for lesson number 1, lesson number 2, you use a lower level of Bloom taxonomy, and then you use a higher level of Bloom taxonomy, because Bloom taxonomy have a different level of critical reasoning there. So you can maybe the first lesson you use the first 2 steps in the Bloom, the second, the third, and you want that is the action you want to take in your class. So the intervention take in your class. So question number 2, data. How
Yeah,
can you
those
data?
are my problems.
Yeah. No problem. Don't worry.
How to document things, yeah, document actions and answer the questions, and then the methods for collecting the information. Because yeah, like I mentioned earlier, I'm not really good at arranging the written documents or
Yeah.
preparing things. I can write the materials, but after that, that's it. So I just ask the questions to the students, and yeah, based on the classroom interaction. For example, if I have prepared one or two questions, and then they can answer that, and then I will continue the discussion based on their response. But if they do not give any response, then
Okay,
yeah,
that's a good point. So now we think
creepy moment.
we move to the next section. I will talk about the data collection, and hopefully you have some better idea about how to collect data as well. Astrid, yep, but it's fine. Keep thinking about that. Okay.
Maybe other teachers who are here right now can share their ideas as well,
Yes,
because I
maybe
think
after this.
yeah.
All right. Yes, that's good. Collecting data. Many ways to collect data. You can use both qualitative data and quantitative data as well. I'm sure that you're familiar with the term. You choose the most suitable method for the task in hand. The quality of the data you collected is more important than the number of ways you collected the data. For example, in your situation, Astrid, I guess that you might think about some of the qualitative data and some of the quantitative data. We want to decide it later. I won't talk with you in a minute. But again, I just want to emphasize that you need to collect the right data to answer the right research question, right? Doesn't matter how many ways you collect data. It need to be the quality of the data you collect. Okay. All right. There are two main ways of data collection for action research that I'm going to categorize it. It is observational and non-observational. All right. So can I ask you to answer my question? What does it mean by observational data and non-observational data? And can you be able to name some of them for me? Okay. Can you be able to do it? Yep. I just want to give you 1 minute to name some example of observational data and non-observational. What do you mean by that? What do you know? And can you name some example of that for me? Yep. You can type in the chat box for me. So observational data is maybe you type it 1 and then 2. All right. Is anything on the chat box? Iqwan?
So there is some answers in the chat box, huh?
Yes, that's great. So just keep answering the question for me. So what do you mean by observational data and non-observational data? And can you name some of the examples? All right. Iqwan, can you share with me? So
Yep.
what are the observational data and non-observational
So
data?
the observational data, like for example, watching and making notes when the actions takes place, and then students' responses,
Mhm.
while the non-observational has questionnaires and student score. That's some of the example from the chat box.
Oh, fantastic. Yes, yes. All right, good. Any other question there? And any other comments there? Fantastic. Yeah. All right. So you get the idea that for action research, I like the idea that categorize into the observational and non-observational, because it can make you more reflective of your research process as well. So what it means by observational data is that observational is mean that what people do, and non-observational data is mean that what people think. So whatever data that link to what people do, they call observational data. And whatever data link to what people think, they call that it is a non-observational data. Are you with me? Yep. So observational data, you can be able to identify here is observation. You use the observation, you ask other people to observe your lesson. So it means watching a social situation. So that is observational data. Observation note, the factual account of the event, recordings, transcript, photos, map, diagram, and document. They are called observational data. And non-observational data is just the interview, survey, quiz, discussion, narrative, survey, and diary as well. Actually, for example, in your case, what are the non-observational data you would use? Actually, is there? Yep. For example, in Atri's case, she interested in using Bloom taxonomy to develop student critical thinking. So maybe the non-observational data that she can interview students, right? Or she be able to interview students. So that is observational. Or she be able to survey students about their critical thinking. So it is observational. And she be able to write a diary about her own teaching. That is a non-observable observational data that she be able to use to answer their research question. So when you got the data already, when you think about analyzing data, that is very simple question I use here that you can have to do it is that how does the data answer the question? What are the main messages? Are there any message gap that I need to fill, or am I asking the right question? Are the data telling me something that I haven't expected, or do I need any more data? So when you analyze the data, you think about all of these questions. Again, that is a key question that are very practical to help you to analyze your data. For example, in Atri situation, she wants to see the application of Bloom taxonomy develop the student critical thinking. So we think about she needs to measure the critical thinking before she implements it. She needs to interview the student as well. She needs to observe the student in class. She needs to record their answer as well and then analyze the answer to see whether there is evidence of critical thinking is there. Sorry, actually, I try to just use your topic as an example. Analyzing data. For action research, when you're analyzing data, it's simple. It's not sophisticated, right? You just collect and reflect, categorize it in the main theme, compare and contrast it, and building the meaning, and then you report the outcome. Just very simple. In my opinion, it's a simple way to do. If you use quantitative data, if you use qualitative data, you can code the qualitative data. There are two main ways. That is inductive coding or deductive coding. You can code the data that emerge from the you can categorize the things that emerge from the data, or you use the framework to categorize to code the theme as well. To analyze the qualitative data, they have only two main ways of doing. And for quantitative data, you use descriptive statistics. simple way, but not certificated statistical analysis. Maybe you want to see is there any differences between the test, the reading test before you implement it, and then the result before it, the result after that. You want to compare whether is there any differences. Okay, just simple way. You measure the central tendency of action research. When we talk about the data collection, I want to share with you two of the interview that Ahmad got with the language teacher in a different context. They say like this. Yes, so it just sometimes really messy, but you try to just make sure that the trick important for you need to make sure that you may use a mix of qualitative and quantitative in action research. Normally, when I supervise my PhD student, we don't use mixed method a lot. Maybe one qualitative or quantitative, but for action research, I think that most of the teachers I've been working with, they use mixed method. They also use some quant data and some qualitative data as well. And then you make sure that you choose the most suitable method for the task in hand. For example, actually, she wanted to enhance the student critical thinking. You need to looking for all of the intervention there. Some of the intervention in the literature, they talk about this work to help the teacher critical thinking. Or maybe I just mentioned about Bloom taxonomy. That is one of the project I use with teacher in Indonesia as well. How to teach them use the Bloom taxonomy in structuring the question. Yeah, the data should be reliable and valid. Reliable is mean that actually you need to tell me what is a measurement for the critical thinking, right? What measurement? What mean by critical thinking? It should be some reliable instrument there, or you triangulate the data as well. You collect data from quant and from qualitative as well. So that is something that you need to remember. So before we end the lesson today, I really would like you to watch this video that summarize what we've been doing so far. And during that time, Iqwan, can you prepare the quiz for me as well? Yeah. Can you see it now, Iqwan?
Yeah. Okay.
Can you see the action research? Yeah.
What is action research?
Yes or no?
As a teacher, you keep.
Can you see it?
Not at the moment. Can you?
Not at the moment.
Stop
Yeah.
share first and then reshare.
Yep. All right. So I would like you to look at this. Okay. Iqwan, I may ask Iqwan to help. Iqwan, can you help me to share the video? Yeah. So before I just want to share with you an overview of this one. Yep. Can you hear it?
Asking yourself, how do I improve my practice for enhancing students' outcomes?
Can you hear it?
We can hear it, but we do not see any. Is it a video or an audio?
It's a video. Iqwan, can you come and help me to share it? Yep.
Yeah.
You come to my office. Yep. Yep. There might be too many. Yep. So where can I share it here?
You stop sharing.
No, where I stop it. Yeah. You see? No. Yeah. Where is it here? No. Okay.
Where is Zoom?
Where's the Zoom?
Oh,
There's no Zoom in here.
yeah.
Apologize. Just give me 1 minute.
Try to find where.
To leave the meeting. Don't leave the meeting. Yes.
There's so many
So many.
windows you open. So
Okay, let me try it. Here, let me try it.
you stop it. You stop it first.
Stop sharing here. All right, that's good. And then,
Share again.
I will say again, where is it? Where is I share again? Because that's too many windows, right? Can you see it now?
There's only here.
Can
Go
Ashley
back to Zoom.
back to Zoom? Yep. And then
Share.
share.
What is action research? As a teacher, you keep asking yourself,
Okay, can you see it now?
what is action research?
Yes.
Teacher, you keep asking yourself, how do I improve my practice for enhancing students' outcomes? Every day, teachers analyse what worked and did not work in their classrooms and think of ways to do it better next time. You always ask, what if equals mini research question, and ask colleagues about approaches they've tried, and what happened equals mini search of previous research. Action research is a more organised and formal, rigorous and systematic approach of trying out a new idea, the what if in your classroom, observing what happens, reflecting on the actions and planning to reuse the strategy, complete the action research cycle. Findings can then be shared with colleagues for professional growth. There are different views of action research. However, there is a common agreement among AR scholars that action research is about action. It means taking action to improving practice. And research is about offering description and explanations for what you are doing and how and when you improve practice. It is quite possible to take action without research or to do research without taking action. But the unique combination of the two is what distinguishes action research from other forms of inquiry. In the school context, action research seeks to give teachers particular methods which enables teachers to identify the problem, investigate, reflect, experiment and evaluate their own work, leading to enhancing students' outcomes. Burns, 2010, said that AR involves a self-reflective, systematic and critical approach to inquiry by participants who are at the same time members of the research community. The aim is to identify problematic situations or issues considered by participants to be worthy of investigation in order to bring about critically informed changes in practice. AR is research with people. It is research by particular people on their own work to help them improve what they do, including how they work with and for others. So, in AR, the teacher actively participates in the situation and also conducts the research. Teachers use action research for improvement in both their practice and their students' learning outcome. AR can be engaged in by a single teacher, a group of colleagues who share an interest in a common problem, or the entire faculty of the school. Action research process. There are many action research frameworks. They follow a similar simple cycle based on continuous learning, as suggested by Kemmis and McTaggart in 1988. The cycle involves plan, act, observe, and reflect. The cycle of action research. Plan. Develop a plan of critically informed action to improve what is already happening. Act to implement the plan. Observe. Observe the effects of the critically informed action in the context in which it occurs. Reflect. Reflect on these effects as the basis for further planning. Subsequent critically informed action, etc., through a succession of stages. Phase 1. Planning for research. In this step, you begin with an inquiry, identify a topic and setting the context. You can look for similar projects and read literature reviews to have a deep understanding of the topic and inform your research design. You can develop research questions and then develop an action research plan, intervention, data collection methods, consider ethics requirements, getting permission, creating data lines and setting up the system, etc. Phase 2. Action. You are engaged in a multiple cycle of experiments and data collection. You take action as planned by initiating an inquiry or changing your practice. In this phase, you can collect evidence or data concurrently. Your data collection may include qualitative and quantitative data. Qualitative data might be observations, artifacts, interviews, journals, diaries, teaching logs, document collections, student records, lesson plans, transcripts, documenting interactions, or field notes. Quantitative data might be surveys, rubric scores, achievement data, test scores, attitude measures, or frequency counts of observable behaviour. You may use a mix of qualitative and quantitative data. Choose the most suitable method for the task in hand. The quality of the data you collect is more important than the number of ways you collect that data. Phase 3, observe. In this phase, you observe the effects of the critically informed action in the context in which it occurs. You continue to observe and record the responses from your students, noting any changes. You also analyse the data further. In analysing data, the following step proposed by Burns 2010 provides a very useful guide for teachers undertaking action research. 1. Assemble the data. Collect, reflect, and prepare the data for analysis. This involves sorting and arranging the different types of data and reading through all the data to obtain a general sense of the sets of information and to reflect on their overall meaning to get the first understanding of the data. 2. Code the data. Categorise and quantify the data. 3. Compare your data. Compare and contrast. 4. Build meanings and interpretations. Look, think, and refine. You may organise your data as charts, graphs, or themes and look for some specific trends. 5. Report the outcomes. Organise and present the research story. Phase 4. Reflect. This is the step where you need to think carefully about what your findings are telling you about your practice and consider what you need to change and improve in your practice. In this phase, you reflect on the outcomes and the process. You evaluate the first cycle of the process, evaluate the findings or implement a new strategy, and revisit the process. You may find that your actions and observations have raised further questions and you need to repeat the cycle. In reality, it may not be as neat as the spiral suggests, but the process is likely to be more fluid, open and responsive as this. Action research cycle. Action research has become increasingly popular as a form of professional learning, as it is to improve our practice and to improve some aspect of the student learning experience. It is not an easy task, but necessary for all teachers who want to be better and creative teachers.
All right. Thank you, everyone. So that is the end of the webinar today that I would like to just share with you a video to summarize what we have discussed in the webinar today. So that we have another half an hour that before you can ask me any questions for Q&A questions. And Iqwan, is it possible that you share the quiz for all the teachers here who will be able to do it in maybe 5 minutes? And then at the same time, you can think about any question to ask me. Yep.
Yeah, so I've sent the link through the chat box in which you can fill up the quiz and to kind of test your understanding of the materials. So far, we've got 6 responses.
Oh,
so
wonderful.
I'm still waiting for other people to try the quiz as well. And then after that, we can have a discussion, a question and answer session.
And thank you very much for attending as well. And I am looking forward to have a further conversation as well. And I hope that you'll be able to have a research proposal on action research and implement something that you think practical.
Yeah.
For you. Yes, of course. I will finalize the slide and then send it to Iqwan, that Iqwan can send it to everybody. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that would
Yes.
be really lovely to see some proposals from
Yes.
the participants today. And if you're thinking of studying with Professor Hoa, that would be really great. Yeah.
I love to visit Indonesia as well.
Yeah,
We
sure.
have a lot of Indonesian friends, and I have a lot of Indonesian students. I love Indonesian people. Good food, very kind, very kind. Just at the moment now, I have Interpart. I have about 5 Indonesian PhD students, and today I need to wear one of the. Yes, my student gave it to me today. Yeah. All right. Any questions so far? I would be very happy to have a conversation with you about that. The question so far? Yes, Atri, fantastic. Fantastic. Go ahead, Atri. Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I don't mean to, what is it? I have a question earlier. In one of your slides, you mentioned about teachers' need. I forgot the topic, but what I remember is about the teachers' need. Usually we talk about the students' need. Now we talk about the teachers' need. My question, what is actually the teacher's need? It is related to the well-being, the teacher's well-being, or is there any other aspect? Teacher's need.
Very good question. The teacher needs here can link to teaching practice. For example, that you manage your time not very well. For example, like that. So my need is that I need to manage my time in a lesson better. Something like that. So all the action research needs to link to your teacher needs. So what you really need to improve your practice. But well-being is also one teacher needs as well, right? So you think that I have a low sense of my well-being and really impact on my teaching practice. So the research, the question for the action research can be, how can I enhance my own well-being? But you need to looking for some specific intervention. For example, how do I use meditation or yoga to enhance my well-being? But again, action research linked to teaching practice. You can do the topic well-being, but for me, it linked to teaching practice. It seems to be something with your classroom, with your teaching. I understand that well-being is a part of teacher's life, but think about classroom, about the teaching profession. For example, you think about, okay, how do I improve the well-being of my college? That can be an action research. How do I improve the well-being of my students when they are going to have a university entrance exam? That is a perfect topic, right? How do I use a peer mentoring program to enhance my colleagues' well-being? If you are the manager in the school, that is a perfect topic as well for action research, right? Yeah, very good point, very good answer.
Yeah, so there's another question here from the participant asking that what if the kind of action and interventions that we have done doesn't really work out, for example. So how are we going to deal with such kind of situations?
Which question is that, Iqwan? Yeah.
Yeah, so after the actions, I mean,
yep,
the action interventions doesn't really work. How are we going to deal with that? How are we going to deal with that situations?
Can you ask the question again? Sorry, Iqwan. Yep.
So what are we going to do? How are we going to deal with situations in which the interventions doesn't really work?
Oh, very good question. Perfect question. Yes. What can you do if the intervention doesn't work? I want to hear from you first before I share with you my view about that. What can you do if the intervention doesn't work? Or should we yes. So what can you do if the intervention doesn't work? Anyone have any answer for that? Very good question. Very good question. Yeah. When you do the intervention, you always think about, oh, I need to do something that it work, right? But sometimes it doesn't work. It doesn't mean that the action research is not good. It doesn't mean that you waste your time. Even sometimes it doesn't work. You need to go back on the procedure to identify why it doesn't work. And then you try another cycle with another condition to see that whether it works or not. And you need to find the reason why it doesn't work, because of the way you collect data, because of something that you implement. And then action research still very, very important, even you finding out that it doesn't work. So for me, if it doesn't work, you go to another cycle again.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you repeat the cycle again.
Yes.
Okay,
And then
another question.
the more important than that is that you have to identify why it doesn't work.
Okay.
Very good part. Very good question.
So there's another question here. We do action research in the classroom based on the problem arising from the context. Does the main problem always about student? What if the problem is about the teacher itself, or about the materials, or about any other things?
Very good question again. So for me, the problem is not only about student. The problem here can be the teacher, can be the curriculum, but it all linked to your own needs. You can't do the action research with somebody's problem. It should be your problem, right? But the problem here can be your student, can be you, or can be your relationship with other teachers. That can be like that, but it needs linked to your needs, and then it can be some aspect of curriculum, some aspect of relationship, some aspect of the school contact. But again, it should be address your own needs as something I emphasize again. And your need here do not always come from your student. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And there's another question here.
Yes.
Saying that I tried. Sorry, what?
Yeah, go ahead. Can you read it for me?
I tried to use the text mentor and make tables of coding to teach students writing the results and discussion in academic writing course. They are still confused, however, and that's maybe something new for them. And then the question is, how can I conduct the action research based on that problem?
So the problem that student cannot write the report?
Yeah, they're coming across something that's new and they're not familiar with, and then it just doesn't work.
Yes. So if the problem like that linked to the writing, I guess that you might have to looking for some of the writing strategy. For example, like how do I use the example? How do I use the example to support my student writing the research report? So you might think about the intervention that you'll be able to help them to do better. Like you use some example and then you ask them to analyze it before they have to write their own. So it's just something like that, because according to the literature, the structure writing is important to prepare students for the better writing as well. So yes, that is a problem. That obviously there is a focus of action research there, but you have to think about the intervention. But for me, the intervention can be the writing strategy. How do you teach the writing strategy to them, for them to write it? For example, like I still have a similar problem with my PhD student. So what strategy I am using is that I try to give them some example and ask them to analyze it. Analyze the example and then come back and tell me, yes, so that is some of the example of the thesis writing. You look at that and you tell me what you think. And then after that, I'll be able to provide them a key criteria for writing. And then they write it. And then after that, they will give feedback to each other, to other students, and then my feedback, and they rewrite again. So there's a number of ways to do that. But you need to make sure that all the intervention are underlined by a certain theory. Yep. Very good. You can unmute yourself. I want to see you and then ask the question.
Can you raise your hand and then you can
Fantastic.
unmute yourself.
Very, very active department participant. Aisha, I am so excited that they really understand it. They participate effectively, and then they ask me wonderful questions. I just want to see your face and hear your voice.
Oh, well, actually in here it's rainy, Professor. So maybe there is a bad connection. So that's why they are active on the chat box also.
That's fine. Okay, Iqwan, another question? Yeah.
Well, one of the participants here is saying that teachers doing an action research is something that looks like a doctor who is treating the patients. Is that really the right analogy to kind of sum it up?
What did you say again? Sorry, just quick question. Yep. Can you read the question again? Sorry.
No, somebody is making a comparison with a doctor who is treating the patients when teachers is doing the action research. Is that the right analogy? I mean,
yeah, comparison is not the right action research. Yeah, no, I say it now. Yeah. The certificate. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. Yep.
Any more questions?
I would be very happy if you can drop me an email to ask any question or any further support in the future. You just feel free to email me, and I would be very happy to share with you my answer or support you through. It's just the first connection between the department, and we are very fortunate to have Iqwan here with us as a PhD, very outstanding PhD student as well, and doing very important topic. And the connection with Indonesia that we always appreciate, and we've been working with I've been working with Indonesia scholar as well in implementing a different professional learning program. As I mentioned earlier, that we got one publication about using taxonomy in training in the workshop for teacher as well. So thank you very much for having me today, and I really hope that in the future you'll be able to actually using this and implement this. Iqwan, would you like to share the finding from the quiz?
The quiz, you mean?
Yes.
Okay.
All of them have done it.
I got 7.
I think some have a 7 or 10. But that's important that I really want you to plan it well. If you plan well, maybe 1 or 2. Sometimes it's 1, sometimes it's 2, but some people have more than 1 and 2. Yep. Yes, Iqwan, can you remind me? I'll send some example of the. Oh, I think that in my slide there are some of the resources there, right? Yeah. I will send the slide for you. That some of the resources that I shared with you about the example of action research. Yeah.
Do we need to discuss these questions?
Yes. So can you show me the only 10 people?
Yeah, only 10 so far.
Only 10 so far.
So
Yeah. All right. Maybe let them to do it later, Iqwan, and then go and share with me the answer later on. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. I really want you to do the quiz for me to see how do you understand it. Iqwan, can you help me to share my own slide? I just want to share with them some of the resources for.
Yeah.
Go
ahead.
Yeah. Okay, you can see that Yep, that's fantastic. Thank you for the question. Make me remember that I will introduce some of the example of action research project as well. Put in my slide. I will send to Iqwan tomorrow. Iqwan, that you'll be able to share with other people. So here are some of the link to the action research project that has been implemented by British Council, Ellicott in Australia, British Council as well, and the UK as well, and some of the book that I think that very practical for teacher as well. So I always put the link in here. I'll be able to share it with you by tomorrow. Is that all right? Yeah. So can you stop sharing? Yeah, I stop sharing from here. Yeah. All right. All
Okay,
right.
so
Thank you very much.
thank you, Hoa. So yeah, I will be sending the materials to you, so don't worry. So you can have a look at some of the examples, some of the AR research examples that you can
Yes.
look at. So later on. So thank you so much. So I will return to the MC, Aisa. Over to you, Aisa.
You can share my email there to everyone. Yep.
Yeah, sure.
That's okay. Thank you so much, Professor Hoa, for today's webinar, and also Mr. Iqwan for the moderator. So we learn more about action research and from your explanations, so easy to understand, and made us interested more about action research. So here I am as an MC, represent English Education Study Program, symbolically send our gratitude to Professor Hoa. Here is our on the screen as a certificate for you, and we will send it also through email. I also represent our head of English Education Study Program, Dr. Ani, to send her warm regards to you because she cannot join until the end of webinar because she had another event. So once again, thank you so much for Professor Hoa. Hopefully we could see you on another webinar and also maybe seminar in Indonesia, hopefully.
I love that. And thank you everyone for your active participation today. I really enjoyed the time today with all of you. And I'm looking forward to further opportunity and email me anytime if you need any further support. Right? Thank you everyone. And I enjoy the rest of the weekend. Bye.
Okay. So before closing the event, let's take a picture for the documentation. So I want everyone to open your camera so we can take a picture from the operator. Okay. I will wait maybe.
Yes.
10 seconds for everyone to open their camera. Okay. Is it ready? I will count.
I can see you all at the end of that.
Okay. I will count. 1, 2, 3. Cheers. Okay. Maybe once again. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Cheers. Okay. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Also, Professor Hoa, and also Mr. Iqwan for today. And I'm Aisa Ril Surya representing all of the committees. I would like to say thank you so much for your participation, and don't forget to click the attendance list and also the quiz. And let's close our event today by reciting Hamdalah together. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. See you on the next webinar. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you everyone.
Bye.
Bye.